But today, we're focusing on zeal and restoring that zest. And maybe, just maybe, if we can put that zest, that zeal back in place, we can get back on that path in the fast lane and move forward. Can we go there? Can we go there this morning? So let's just all rise up. "101 affirmations." Not Dalmatians, affirmations. Just repeat this with me. I'm alive. I'm alive. Now say it and convince somebody who thought you had died that you're alive. With zeal and enthusiasm. And I move forward in the power of divine order. Renaissance unity, all is well, and all is in divine order. And you are one with God. And when you move away from that truth, that you're one with God, and you want to cast away the responsibility, the duty that you have to be one with God, I hear voices say, I'm waiting on God. I sent out a prayer to God, and I'm waiting on God to come down and bless me. But God is saying this morning, step up. Step up to where I'm at. Because I'm right there in your mind, your body, and spirit. Repeat after me. I pray without ceasing. I trust without doubting. And I act without fear. My divine zeal carries me beyond all limits and distractions. I am unstoppable. I am unshakable and divinely guided. I am. Tell somebody around you, I'm getting ready to step up. Step up. You may be seated. Last week, if you were here, tuned in, we talked about tearing down walls. Those walls that we construct in our life. Brick by brick, we set the foundation for a wall to be built in our life. And in that life where we see those walls built, I told you that the funny thing about the walls that we build around ourselves is that we build them to protect ourselves, but they have a way of keeping people out who need to be in to help us. Anybody here thought you could do life alone? I mean, really and truly. Anybody ever had the idea, I'm doing this thing alone? My terms and conditions. I'm setting the tenets of the contract. Do it my way. Exactly. And we said my way or the highway, and we said to God too, if you ain't doing it my way, God, I don't want any parts of you. Didn't we do that? And we turned around. And we see it's a phenomenon across the United States. And we see so many people diagnosed with this and that, depression, anxiety. And they wonder, why? And when I talk to those people, I ask them, what is your foundational base? What are your principles, your values, your morals, your ethics? They don't have an answer. And so this morning, I want to drill into our minds that there's a path forward. And it's only when we get off that path that we find ourselves in need of building these walls, brick by brick. Every time we experience something, we put up a brick, and it builds this wall. And it just continues to grow, and then this building of this wall, you can't get out, and nobody can get in. Isolation. I'm watching TV early Friday morning, and it says the number one issue in America is isolation. Can we say that word, isolation? Isolation. I feel alone. It's not because I live alone. It's because even around people, I feel alone. I feel as though I'm the only one going through what I'm going through. No one can understand the situation that I find myself in. I'm around tens and hundreds and thousands of people, but no one could understand the predicament that I find myself in. Anybody ever felt that way? No one can understand my journey, the things that I deal with, the weight on my shoulder just pressing me down, down, down. And some of the time the weight is not your own weight. It's the weight of others jumping on you, leaping on you, and standing on your shoulders. Or women say your back too, and your back give out. Your backbone slip. And so this morning, the short time that we have together, because we have a workshop, a powerful workshop with Dr. Anita Hicks and myself, Chaos to Calm. I hope you're coming. This will be a powerful hour. Had to put in that plug. She texted me and said, plug it. I'm in the middle of the OJ's concert last night, and she said, plug the workshop. I'm like, okay, I got you. But today we want to step out. And that's what this is about. Stepping outside of that wall. And some of the times, it's like Peter. Do we know who Peter was? Peter found himself on the boat. Peter on the boat. Can we just say Peter on the boat? Peter on the boat. So today, we want to go into that uncharted territory. Can we say uncharted territory? Uncharted territory. Because I think if we begin to step out into the unknown, we possibly could have a return of our zeal full tank. How about we just go towards a full tank this morning? A full tank. I got these things that I call zealable moments. Anybody ever heard of zealable moments and zealable verses? Has anybody ever had a moment where you need a zealable verse? Zealable. Nobody ever heard of zealable? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of zealable. Nobody ever heard of zealable? Linda Pure Year, come on now. You're well read. She's raising her hand. But I made it up. So it'll be Googleable after this service. But these zealable verses are Bible verses that get you energized and raise your confidence level. What does they do? let's get this right, because we're going to use some of these that get you energized and raise your confidence. Does anybody ever need to be energized? Re-energized? Well, what about, do you ever need your confidence raised? Anybody ever suffer from low self-esteem, low confidence? They don't just speak to you, they shout at you. What do? They shout at you, reminding you to what? Rise in your divine power. Now that we've established, Michael, the definition of zealable, and now it's Googleable, we can go, because it is. That's what you got right there. Zealable, meaning that what I want to present to you this morning are Bible verses that enable you to have zeal. And when you get to the point of having zeal, what happens? You raise your energy level and you raise your confidence level. I would argue, as a trained therapist, that a lot of people suffer from lack of zeal, low zeal. Anybody ever been diagnosed with low zeal? I mean, you went to the doctor or a therapist, and they said, you're suffering from low zeal. And I'm going to give you a pill for your low zeal. Anybody ever received the pill for low zeal? Well, after today, there will be a pill. I am talking with Pfizer. If they can create a vaccine within weeks, then we should be able to get one for zeal. And so with this opportunity, let's take a look at this. Can you imagine the scenario? We all know who Peter is. Peter's on the boat, right? We've established that. Anybody not know that Peter was on the boat? Common. So I want to use a common illustration today. What kind of illustration? Common. So no one gets left out. So Peter's on the boat. How's the weather conditions? It's a storm out. It's rain. Probably sleet. Maybe a little snow. But Peter's on the boat. Peter has great faith. What kind of faith? Great faith. And so Peter's trying to figure out, how do I step up my game? I've come to the point in my life where I'm tired of having the usual. Anybody ever have a habit of just ordering the usual? I'll accept the usual today. I mean, you get up and it's the usual routine. It's the usual drink. It's the usual breakfast. And you go through the day and you're doing the usual things. You don't need a menu with selections because you're doing the usual things. Anybody in here is in the habit of doing the usual things. I mean, you got a routine down pat. What I do when I wake up to when I go to bed. And it's usual. And so if somebody asks you the question, how was your day? What do they say? Usual. It's the usual. Same old, different day. And you hear people say that, don't you? That's part of their vernacular. Same old, different day. And so it lets me know that you're into the usual. And because you're into the usual, you can't get to the unusual. But what you really want, what you really crave, is the unusual. Right? Because if you talk about what you're praying for and what you're meditating for, it can't be the normal, right? Because if you already got it, you wouldn't be praying for it because it's already present. Is that right? And so what are we praying for? The unusual. Can we just say unusual? I want an unusual life is what I want. I want an uncommon life. Don't you? I mean, you're just a baby, but don't you want the unusual? Don't you want to be different? Yeah, he's saying yep. He's saying yep. He's saying yep. And so Peter's in this scenario where he's in the boat, storm everywhere. He's not alone in the boat, but Peter gets into his mind that if I want more, I have to step out from the boat, right? And so he sees a vision, and he thinks the vision is that of the Lord, the Christ. Anybody had visions of the Christ? Come on, y'all. Y'all not crazy. I saw visions. I see visions. I see dead people. Look at y'all laughing at me, but I do. And so Peter hollers out, Lord, can we say Lord? If it's you, command me to come to you on the water. Y'all heard that, right? And so he says this, like, okay, if it's you and you so powerful and you so bad, Paul, summons me to come out on the water, and not just come out on the water and swim, walk on it. And so he gets out of the boat and he starts walking. Reverend Wilma, not with stilettos. But he's walking. He takes steps forward. And it's feeling kind of good. But then he has this zealable ideology. And he catches himself. And he's thinking at this point, those who hope in the Lord renew their strength. They mount up on wings and they soar like eagles. And so he's walking with this zealosity. You ever walk with zealosity? You're energized. You have confidence. And that's what he's doing. Walking with the zeal across the water, through the storm. It's raining. And you're like, no problem. No problem. No problem. But then something happens. His mind drifts. For a split second, a nanosecond, he takes his eyes off the Christ. And all of a sudden, he gets scared. Anybody ever has something in mind that you want to do and you're committed to do it? Mind, body, spirit, I'm totally in, 100%. I'm all in, Leah. And then you get scared. You get cold feet. Anybody ever got cold feet? What happens when you get cold feet? You can't walk. You can't move. It's like you're sitting on the toilet too long and you try to raise up and your legs just got stiff on you. Am I the only one that happens to? Huh? I'm the only one. I'm all alone out here on the water. Y'all just gonna leave me out here hanging on the. Y'all need to say that ain't right. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And he began to sink. Anybody ever experience sinking? You just feel overwhelmed by things, by life, and all the things, scenarios, decisions, and choices that life brings to you. And so he's thinking, and he's sinking. Then he cries out, Lord, save me. Save me. Anybody ever been there before? Lord, save me. Save me from what? But in that scenario, what was the response of Jesus? He reached out. And what did he say? Oh, ye of little faith. My faith appeared strong, but when I took my eye off the truth, I began to sink. And when I began to sink, the way I think was impacted to the point to where I couldn't recover on my own. Now, are you supposed to recover on your own? Not necessarily. Because sometimes the fear, the doubts, the distractions of life come so fast and so furious that they're deceptive in nature. Anybody ever been deceived by an illusion? Anybody ever overthought something and it came into a situation that we call paralysis by analysis? Because you're overanalyzing everything, you're overthinking everything, and you're overthinking every thought. And when you overthink every thought, the thought that you think becomes what? The frequency by which you live. Can we say frequency? Frequency is what? Yeah, write this down. Frequency is the frequency of my thoughts. Now, the frequency of my thoughts determine whether I see myself as able to walk on water or sink in the water. Now, I ask you right now, what is the frequency that you tune into most often? Because if you get this, you get the message. Can we say frequency matters? Frequency matters because as often as you frequent a thought pattern, that thought pattern manifests as a way of life for you. Now, if you live in fear, this is your dialogue, Todd. I don't want that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to experience that. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get broke. I don't want to break up. I don't want to divorce. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my job. It's a bunch of I don't want us. Anybody ever experienced that? Not by you. I don't want you telling yourself. But do you know some people that they live from that perspective, that angle? I don't wanna. When we say I don't wanna as a persistent and consistent frequency, then our mind is forming bricks. And we go back to building that wall one more time with the things that I don't want to experience. And because I don't want to experience, I build a wall. And the wall presents itself as a barrier to the possibilities. Do you see this? Because when you live in that mindset, a fear mindset, a fear phobia, that's where we stop. The possibility of stepping up and stepping into something new, something different, the unusual. Do you see it? And so you have to do what I tell you before. Watch your words. And that requires you to what? Watch your mouth. Now you've heard that before, right? Somebody in your lifetime has told you to watch your mouth. Watch what you're saying. As a repetitive nature, which is the frequency that's creating this vibrational force, and this vibrational force creates energy. And that energy can be negative energy or it can be positive energy. You can turn on something or you can turn off the possibilities. And so if you understand this, you'll stop with the dialogue about being less than. You look nice today. Yeah, but I know I'm a little bit bigger than I was. This old thing I'm wearing, well, it's just something I just threw on. Accept it. You look good as is. Can you turn to somebody right now and say, you look good as is? Because you are good. Because you are one with God. And God is good all the time. And all the time. And God is good at making good things. And you are a good thing. That's what this thing is all about. That's what this thing is all about. We can't allow ourselves to let the wind and the waves just blow us around, toss us around. And too many times we're allowing that. And so again, it's the frequency of the things that we say frequently that matters. So he was out there on the boat with full zeal, and all of a sudden he lost focus. Romans 8:31 says something that I learned to live by. Probably it took me, until I was in my mid-50s. And it says, if God is for me, who can be against me? And so, can we dissect that to the comma? It says, if God is for me, and that's really a question, isn't it? If God is for me, but can I answer that for you this morning? God is for you. No doubt at all, God is for you. I wish this was one of those old times where we used to keep a diary of our day. Because then you could turn back the pages of time and ask yourself, how did I get through that? How did I get over that? How did I get under that? How did I get around that? And it's just a God in me. God in me. That's all it was. So if God is for me, the answer is God is for me. Indeed. Who can be against me? Now I'm going to give you one of the most powerful affirmations that you'll ever receive. And it ain't long, but it's strong. Because when I read that, if God is for me, who can be against me? The most powerful affirmation that I have, Leah, It's who cares? Who cares? They don't like you. What's your response? Who cares? And she said it with the little ball of her hair just wiggling in the wind. Who cares? I'm not advocating for you to tell them that. But I'm advocating for you to just move away from them and walk on water. Because God is for me. So it doesn't matter who's against me. Because I remember that one of the Zealable verses is, I can do all things through the Christ that strengthens me. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And heaven is the best place that I want to be. And so what we do as a routine, as a frequent thing, is this thing that they talk about in 1 Thessalonians. I pray without ceasing. And when I pray without ceasing, I'm constantly connected to a current that is source, that allows me to elevate above all. Can we just say pray without ceasing? Now somebody may look at that and say, Reverend Glenn, how am I supposed to do that? I've heard that before. Well, how can I pray all day? Point of clarification. We're not talking about getting on your knees and praying forever. You got to go to work. You got some other things you need to do. But what we're saying is never lose that divine connection, that connectivity. You know how everyone is dependent on their cell phone now? The worst times I see, the worst times when people are ready to get violent, is when they can't find the cell phone. They misplaced it. Because they think they lost the connectivity. But I'm saying it's a more important connectivity, frequency, wave that you need to be tuned into. And it only comes when we realize that that's what we're talking about when we say pray without ceasing. Always hold sacred in mind those Zealable verses that are yours. And so my challenge today is for you to find three Bible verses that provide you insurance. Zealable insurance. In all cases, I pull these out, and I'm good at saying, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I look at it in the eye of the storm, and I say, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I've had doctors try to tell me stuff. I've had teachers try to tell me something about my limitations. I've had people tell me, you won't amount to that. You won't do this. And I just say to myself, you're weaponized. And no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapon. And so we're constantly in that notion of we're confronting all those things that form distractions against us. Because there's many weapons of mass distraction out of here. Anybody know what a weapon of mass distraction is? It's those massive moments that come into your life and they form distractions You have to identify those weapons of mass distractions, because they have a way of shooting you down, twisting things into lies and deception and illusions. And we can't have that anymore. And so we confront those distractions, and when we just come to that point where we can no longer live with those distractions, we say, I got to counter it. And we talked about this last week. I confront, I counter, and I conspire. Now, when we get to the point where we counter, that's where we're pulling out those zealable statements. And we're saying, I can do all things through the Christ who strengthens me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm one with the Christ. And with that oneness, I can do all things beyond my human self. Don't stay human. Don't stay human. Anybody here addicted to being human? All I'm saying is tilt the scale. Tilt it to your spiritual side. Go with the Christ. Watch it make all the difference for you. Be strong. Be courageous. Maybe we all stand. This morning we made history at Renaissance Unity. We've added a new word and a new concept. Zealosity, zealability. But you get it. This life is made to be lived with great zeal, enthusiasm about what's coming, excitement about what's next. And if you knew how I woke up every day so excited about what's going to happen to me, for me, by me, in the unknown, you'll understand my zeal and my zest. Let's do an affirmation. But before we do this affirmation, Daisy, I need you to get serious with me. I need you to put on your zealability self. And with that, you have great enthusiasm. What kind of enthusiasm? Repeat after me. I step out in total faith. My eyes on spirit. I pray without ceasing. My zeal is unstoppable. No wind, no wave can shake me. For God is with me. I soar on wings like eagles. And I walk forward in divine power. I'm on fire with divine zeal, knowing that if God is for me, it's all about me. And God is for me. No one can stand against me. I can do all things through the Christ who strengthens me. I soar on wings like eagles, and I step out strong and courageous because the Lord is with me, and I am one with the Christ. And so it is. Amen. Renaissance Unity, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thanks for having me this morning. God bless each and every one of you.